Hello friends and welcome to New Gameplay Today. I am your host Alex Stadnik and I am joined, you're never gonna believe this, who I got for this episode. The illustrious, the wonderful, the K-Star, Kimberly Wallace.
RPG, RPG, RPG.
Kim, what are we playing today?
Sure, Astria Ascending, which I think people probably remember you'll remember for these graphics if you're looking at the screen. When they revealed it, it's gorgeous, obviously, and it's got gorgeous 2D hand-drawn visuals, but what else is really cool about this is it has some impressive JRPG talent involved. So it's by, I believe, a French-Canadian studio, Artisan Studios, but they recruited Kazusuge Nojima, sorry. He's best known for work on like the Final Fantasy series. He's writing the story and he's worked on everything since 7 all the way up to 15 and 7 Remake. And then you have composer Hitachi Sakamoto, who his work has been in like everything from Valkyria Chronicles to Vagrant Story to Final Fantasy 12. So he's behind the music, and that's some stuff to get excited about. But
sure.
You know, beyond just like that, this was our first chance to have hands-on with it, as you're seeing here, and see what it's about. And me and Alex both played it, and I think we both agree it's taken a lot of cues from Square Enix's Bravely Default series.
Yeah, for sure. And I've enjoyed those aspects of it, but not as much as I've enjoyed Bravely Default 2. That was my first entry into Bravely Default was this year.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I guess jumping off of your earlier point, I think the strength of this game is in its musical presentation and art style, because it is very painterly, very gorgeous, you know, JRPG. Like those influences are very felt in this game, and that's something it's very pretty to look at for sure.
Yes, I think I could feel the same with you know, the turn-based battle. I'm always a sucker for a good turn-based battle system, and again, it does take a lot inspiration from Bravely Default, with like making you really dial into the skills that you have, because you have like what, 8 demigods you get in this game, and you can swap them in. You have the 4 in the party at once, but you can swap others in and out, and they all have different classes, and you have some customization over how you upgrade those classes. There's like 4 different classes.
Oh, wow.
I got through 2 when I played the demo. And that was the part that I liked the best, because I'm a sucker for building characters. Like I love to really like plan out on a graph what abilities I'm going to focus on, where I'm going to put my points into, what I think is going to be. And that's where I think there's a lot of fun with the game. And also it has, similar to Bravely Default, it has this focus system that is integral to beating bosses, because what you basically can do is on a turn, you can stock your you can focus, which is kind of like stocking the power of it. So if you want to, what I used was, when I found what a character was weak to elemental, I just stocked all the other characters who didn't have that ability and passed it on to the dude who had the powerful ability. And then you get this super powerful version of it. And like you can see in the corners right here, like that. Well, of course,
it goes away.
There's like a -3, and then you'll have pluses, and it's really focused on those finding enemies' weaknesses and doing that. So those were the 2 things that I thought were interesting. I wasn't too impressed with the story so far, and you know, they say that you're going to explore 5 cities, fight through 25 dungeons, but in the demo, the personalities felt pretty boilerplate to me.
Yeah.
And you're playing as these demigods who like have all of a sudden these creatures called the Noise show up and they threaten this harmonious state, and so you're trying to figure out what's going on, and I hope some of those revelations get more interesting, because it said that the game was going to tackle like mature topics, parenthood, the legacies we leave behind after death, and kind of having those unspoken issues with loved ones. So that seems all really interesting to me, and cool mature content for an RPG, but like I didn't see it, and as we know, sometimes in the opening hours of an RPG, they can take some time to really get going and establish where that story is going to go. But my impression is this isn't going to be like a 50, 60 hour like RPG journey. I think it's going to be more like a 35.
Something a little shorter.
Something a little shorter.
Yeah.
So, but one thing we also need to focus on here is I really hope some of this gets improved by the final release. But there's some really cringe voice acting.
Oh,
and
it's bad. It is. There's some moments where I looked around. I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay.
It's weird because like I can't tell if they're doing it to like be fun. Like, okay, Trials of Mana, for instance, has really awful voice acting, but it was so bad that it was kind of like
endearing.
Yeah, in some parts. This is just like, it takes you out of scenes. It's so bad. It's like very, like wooden performances and just sounds awkward. And I know for me, that really got in the way of me connecting with characters and scenes. And I almost made me block out. You know, I was focusing because I was like, I want to see where the story goes. But at the same time, I was like, oh my gosh, if I was not playing this to focus for a demo, I would be like, bye, not listening, tuning you out. Like,
for real. Yeah.
It ain't great. So I hope that, you know, gets fixed. Although the game is coming out on September 30th. So
not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it will be on like all the major platforms: PS5, Xbox Series XS, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Wow, I'm like,
wow, you got that down.
It.
Well done. I was worried that I was gonna have to do that at the end, and you took control there. I love it.
Well, I mean, too. Let's just talk, like, what worries me. So we're looking at a dungeon too right here. They're very linear in design. You do light platforming. You'll find your special abilities. You'll solve little riddles. I wouldn't call them, you know, puzzles, but there's little things to do within them and paths. But I didn't find the dungeons that interesting to explore either, and that's always worrisome. Dungeon design in RPGs in particular is really tricky to pull off because you have to be there a lot. So for me, that wasn't getting like a Star of the Show award. It was more like the battle system and the big bosses, which like are nasty because if you don't use your abilities and your characters right and that focus system, like you can get one-shotted easily. And I think the game like wants to play like, you know, when you're like a game's laughing at me right now, because it will throw you really deadly abilities that you're like, oh, come on now, like. This one character has a revive ability, which is like essential. Get that revive the party ability.
Oh yeah. I guess I was surprised because when I was first playing that first dungeon, I was enjoying how quick hit the fights were. I was like, okay, if this is the tone they set for the rest of this, then I'm intrigued. But yeah, even in the second dungeon, they ramped the difficulty, and unfortunately, I guess. I don't know. It depends on your or your tastes and sensibilities, right? If you like grinding in JRPGs, like, you know, you're gonna have a field day with this. Is the vibe I'm getting, but that's not necessarily what I enjoy out of my RPG experience.
Yeah, I think what I came away with was I'm a little worried about the difficulty balancing and the potential reliance on grinding to get kind of the skills necessary to succeed, because there are a lot of cool abilities in that job system, but you need to unlock them, and the job system certainly, like, you have that ascension tree that you see in the menu there, but it'll branch off with all these different abilities, and you decide, but like you then have multiple every job has a different one of those, and if your characters can have up to 4 jobs, just to say you have a lot of options. And so I like having that creativity to build your characters, but also there's that worry of, what if I mess something up? I don't know how forgiving the game will be. I got the vibe that we're just going to have a lot to... It could be pretty punishing if you're not unlocking the best abilities to kind of get your characters through. Because I found once I got a character who could, like, heal multiple members of the party and then have the revive ability, like, things went better for me. But I still sometimes won the battles by the skin of my teeth. And I was just like, I don't know if the dungeons have enough fun things in them to make me want to do that grind. But there are also several side quests, and we didn't... In the demo, some of them were not working correctly yet, so I didn't get to see how those are and if those really help, like, amp up, you know, your progression at all.
Yeah, for sure. I also wanted to ask you a question, Kim, because you got further in this than I did. It appeared that, and I think it said something, I can't remember in the exact beginning, but I was showing the pause menus after a battle because when you're out of combat, your characters heal, even if they're down. Is that throughout your experience in this as well? Okay, cool.
Yes, but if you want to, like, get their MP back, like... Then you have to use
Elixir. Right.
Yeah, or you have to leave, if you leave the dungeon, so there's like a fast travel that, and certain points in the dungeons that will checkpoint, and if you leave the dungeon, you automatically heal the entire party of all that, and you also can, and I did it a lot to, like, go get new weapons and stuff, because there's also a lot with the different weapons you equip can change kind of your character's build and what their weaknesses are, and the affinities that they specialize in, which I thought was, like, really interesting. But mind you have 8 characters. It's a lot to keep track of.
Right.
And I know some people will probably, like, I don't think the game wants you to just focus on 4 characters. Like, the vibe I got as I was playing is that you want to have... Every character can make a difference in battle, and you want to be buying new weapons for all of them, focusing on all their skills, because you never know when one will come in handy more than the other.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely, like we said earlier, it wholeheartedly takes a lot from Bravely Default, and, you know, I think it hits on some of it, and you know, I didn't feel as...
There's a checkpoint.
Yeah, there's a checkpoint. I think it hits and misses on its attempts to try to replicate that kind of formula. So, did you, quick, we're going to get to the boss fight and say goodbye here, but did you get to play the j-ster game, K-ster? K-ster playing j-ster?
Like, every RPG needs those card games because they're fun, but I was not... It took me a while to wrap my head around it. How'd you feel about it?
I liked it. I'm never, like, don't tell Dan this, but I not a big trading card game guy. Like, I never got down with Gwent. You know, I used to play Pokemon cards way back in the day, but that's another thing. But yeah, so I always go into those with a bit of, like, you know, like, knowing this isn't for me. But what I played, I was like, okay, this is enjoyable, you know?
It's definitely different.
Yeah, and I was like, I think I would give, because it is so different, I would give this a couple more tries. I should have got footage of it, but alas, I did not. So
yeah, what you get these tokens, and you play them against other people, and the tokens have these different... So it's really about positioning and trying to, like... So... How do I explain this? A token can, like, nullify an ability. It can, like, I don't even remember what all the things were.
Yeah,
but...
it's fun. I liked it, but I can't picture it taking off quite like something like Gwent does, right? So.
Oh no, but I think it's a good, like, I like having those side activities in a game where, like, it felt to me, if you want to play this and really enjoy it, it's there. And it probably will give you some perks, but it's not like you need to play it from what the vibe I got to, like, succeed in the game, and that's what I like. Yeah. Oh, here they go, giving you all the elements.
Oh yeah, I was like,
there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm sure I'll look it up later.
Yeah. They're the basic ones, you know, though, and it's kind of like, this is a huge one of the boss battles, and I liked the enemy designs on them, but yeah, some of the boss battles are very much like we had this. You know, in Bravely Default, where it's that experimentation, because you don't know what you're getting and what characters are really going to be useful until you're in the battle. And sometimes that might mean like failing to figure out just like, I need this character here. Oh, I better not put that character in because he's just going to be annihilated in a second. And I should target this first or that. It's really that experimentation and, like said, finding the skills that complement each other best for the 4. And also not forgetting that you can swap people in and out. Because at first I was just like focusing on the 4, and then I was like, wait a minute.
I can switch.
Why am I not putting other people in?
It does. I will say quickly, it does cost a turn when you do that. But
yes.
So be aware of that. But I think this is a great look at this game. Some good and some bad, like other games. So Kim, thank you so much for joining me. When can people get their hands on this?
This is releasing on September 30th. So you got about a month to get in there.
Pretty soon. So Kim, thank you so much for your time. Viewers, thank you for watching. As always, go to youtube.com/GameInformer for all of your awesome previews, reviews, the whole thing. GI show. It's a lot of fun. So thanks. Be good to one another, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.